I recently posted my review of 28 Years Later, which if you've seen it, you already know I wasn't a fan of the film. It's better than 28 Weeks, but it still kind of sucks. Doesn't compare to 28 Days. Now, I was just doom scrolling on X, and I came across this article that was on Variety, and actually, let me just go ahead and get into this. So here, from Variety's X account, Danny Boyle would not direct Slumdog Millionaire today because of cultural appropriation, and to quote, I'd be looking for a young Indian filmmaker to shoot it. So the actual part of the article, or at least the main quote of the article, says, we wouldn't be able to make that now, and that's how it should be. It's time to reflect on all that. We have to look at the cultural baggage we carry and the mark that we've left on the world. At the time, it felt radical. We made a decision that only a handful of us would go to Mumbai. We'd work with a big Indian crew and try to make the film within the culture. But you're still an outsider. It's still a flawed method. That kind of cultural appropriation, God, there's that word, might be sanctioned at certain times, but at other times it cannot be. I mean, I'm proud of the film, but you wouldn't even contemplate doing something like that today. It wouldn't even get financed, even if I was involved. I'd be looking for a young Indian filmmaker to shoot it. So the replies here are just pretty spot on. This guy says, progressives, use the ladder, get rich, pull up the ladder behind you to signal your virtue. Can't make train spotting unless you're a working class Scottish smackhead. What an incredibly retarded take. Cultural appropriation is made up nonsense, and it only seems to be problematic in one direction. Hey, that's a pretty good point, actually. And that makes me think of the film with Dev Patel, what's it called, The Green Knight or something like that. We'll look into that later. Imagine if he said only white people should direct movies with white characters. This other guy, what a coward Danny Boyle is. He knows what he's saying is utter bullshit. What about historical films? Do we need to get time travelers from the fucking past to make them? Because who are we as the people from the future to tell their stories? Dang, that's a pretty hot point right there. That smacks. I'm not gonna lie. That's a slapper right there. This other chick down here says, so authors should no longer create protagonists of the opposite sex. Actors should only take the roles of their own sexuality or age. Directors should only accept storylines and direct people of and in their own country. As always, the comments never disappoint. I originally found this from this account here, the little platoon. It says, Mr. Boyle, of course, free to donate all of his royalties to Indian film schools and remove his name from the credits in any re-release or public petition studios and streaming services to not play the movie ever again. All right, while we're at it, he's not Scottish, so he should probably apologize for Trainspotting. Nor is he American or Thai, so there goes the beach. He wasn't born in London, so he had no business in shooting 28 Days Later there. Being entirely unrelated to Steve Jobs, I don't know why he made a movie about him. And if we really want to press the point, the nation of India shouldn't be allowed to play cricket, much less win at it. That's culturally insensitive. The culture war should not end until people feel utterly ashamed and embarrassed saying shite like this in public. Unconditional surrender. All right, that guy had the hardest response with his repost. Now, looking here at Slumdog Millionaire, it says the directors are Danny Boyle and Loveleen Tandon. Who is this? Loveleen Tandon is an Indian-based filmmaker and casting director. Her highlights include her work as co-director India of multi-award-winning Slumdog Millionaire. Okay, so there was an Indian director here. Looks here on the photos, there's even a picture of the both of them together. So it looks like there was a lot of cultural consulting done on the directing, at least here. Writers Simon Beaufoy and Vikas Swarup. Simon Beaufoy is from Yorkshire, which I believe is in the United Kingdom. And Vikas Swarup was born in 1963 in Allahabad, India. He is a writer well known for Slumdog Millionaire. So in the writing and in the directing, there was Indian representation, if that's what's so important. It's just crazy because, okay, so Slumdog Millionaire came out in 2008, and I don't really recall a lot of the heavy influence of, or I guess the heavy restrictions of cultural appropriation, and just a lot of the communist nonsense you see from like leftists in entertainment and just in our daily lives, really. I didn't see a lot of that until 2012. So to think that there was a lot of Indian involvement in 2008 before the virtue signaling was at a high point, whether they did that on purpose for Indian representation or for representation, you would have been covered. So what's the point in saying, hey, we need more representation when you have the representation right here? And the star is Dev Patel, who I believe was born in England. Oh, he was born in London. So he's not even from India. Your cast You know, your main actor here is not even from India. His previous movie, Monkey Man, is kind of like a John Wick revenge movie. Only I would say there's parts of it that are interesting, and then there's parts of it that kind of just kill the movie. When I watched it, it's kind of a one and done for me. But this being his directorial debut, I thought was pretty strong. It's a pretty strong beginning for the director, Dev Patel. And I was first introduced to him in that show, Skins. That's where I first found out about him, actually. Let's see where he kind of began. Only Yesterday, which was, what is this? 1991. This is a film in Tokyo. So maybe he lived in Tokyo for a short period in his life. Anyways, yeah, Skins. This show is where I've originally found out about Dev Patel. The first generation of Skins is really the only season you need to watch. It's like the only one worth watching, so it'd be seasons 1 and 2. After that, the show just blows. And then actually I wanted to go back to something real quick. This movie, The Green Knight, I believe it was called. Yes, right here. The Green Knight. A fantasy retelling of the medieval story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Sir Gawain, I don't know how to say that. Here it says, Sir Gawain is a prominent figure in Arthurian legend known as King Arthur's nephew and one of the premier knights of the Round Table. So being a knight of the Round Table, you'd think he'd be British. So even here in The Green Knight, they did a lot of cultural appropriation by casting Dev Patel. And The Green Knight, there is some visual sequences in that film that I really enjoy. The movie overall is actually a pretty decent film. But if we're going to do the whole cultural appropriation thing, is this Alicia Vikander? I don't remember her being in that movie, but she is such a babe. Anyways, I mean, she doesn't look English either. I know she's also from the United Kingdom. But what I'm saying is, my point is that they had no problem with the cultural appropriation here in The Green Knight, but Danny Boyle is talking about it's a problem to make Slumdog Millionaire today if you're a British filmmaker or if you're like a filmmaker from the United Kingdom. Wherever Danny Boyle's from, I wonder if he has a problem with The Green Knight. Does he have an issue with Dev Patel playing one of the Knights of the Round Table? Anyways, I just wanted to share that article with you guys, or just that interaction, that social media discussion that I found on X. Because yeah, after watching 28 Years Later, both him and Alex Garland, I feel like the quality has sunk in their craft. And it sucks to say because I am a fan of their previous work. The only thing that we got out of Civil War was that meme, what kind of American are you? Because now we have all kinds of variations like what kind of anime fan are you, or what kind of gamer are you, or what kind of insert blank are you. So it made for a good meme format, but other than that, the film itself wasn't really that interesting. And it just sucks because I mean, Hollywood is kind of coming down to its financial consequences over the past, I would say, 20 years. The slow rise of postmodernism in film, and there's always been communist infiltration in film. It's just to the degree it's been since 2012 has been just amplified. So it just sucks because there's a lot of independent filmmakers whose concern is the quality of the story, but because they're independent filmmakers, myself included, we just don't have the budget to create these stories that Hollywood would never touch. And it's also kind of our problem too as the independent filmmakers to build the audience who we want to create quality films for. I do have 2 more short films releasing this year. One's a comedy, one's a horror, and I look forward to sharing it with you guys. I released one earlier in the year, but that one I will say is not a good example of my craft. It's not bad. The story itself, I would say, is the strong suit and my lead actor who was in the film, but the weakness of it was the general, I would say, is the audio. The audio suffered so much in the short film I released earlier this year that I made it a point to make sure that the audio for my next 2 films that are releasing was improved. Actually, let me share with you guys here on IMDb. Let me just go to my IMDb page and then I can pull up the next 2 films. So here we have The Gift and Grand Theft Auto. So Grand Theft Auto comes out later, comes out in December 12th. The Gift comes out October 24th. Right now, they're kind of in the film festival circuit, so these 2 films are the films you can look forward to. Let me actually pull up the poster. So here's Grand Theft Auto, and here's The Gift. So if you're interested in independent filmmakers, but either way, what's your guys' take on the Danny Boyle interview? I am a little bit, I guess not surprised, but still somewhat disappointed. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Follow us on Twitter at Ghettoplex_MP4, on Instagram at Ghettoplex.mp4, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Ghettoplex.